David Chen's fork clattered against his plate the moment he saw it. A small boy's trembling hand reaching toward an empty table, fingers curling into a fist as his mother yanked him back. The kid wasn't reaching for anything. He was reaching for everything. For hope. For just one bite of the burger sitting 3 feet away on David's son's plate. The woman's whispered, "Lo siento, mijo," cut through the restaurant noise like a knife. David stood before his brain caught up. He'd been that desperate once. But what happened next? Nobody expected what this single father did, or how one rejected offer would change 4 lives forever. Comment below what city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. David Chen had built his consulting firm on reading people. 12 years of clawing out of poverty had taught him to see what others missed: the microscopic signals of desperation, the careful mathematics of survival playing out in real time across someone's face. That Tuesday afternoon at Riverside Bistro, he saw all of it. His 8-year-old son Tommy was talking about soccer tryouts, words tumbling out between bites of his bacon cheeseburger. David nodded, smiled, made the right encouraging sounds. But his attention had snagged on the woman standing at the hostess stand. Late 20s, Hispanic. Her clothes were clean but worn jeans with frayed hems, a denim jacket that had seen better seasons, a faded yellow blouse underneath. Her dark hair was pulled back in a ponytail that was both practical and pretty. But it was her face that held him. The way her eyes moved across the menu board behind the hostess. The slight movement of her lips. Counting. Calculating. David knew that expression. He'd worn it himself once. The boy beside her was maybe 6 years old. Dark, shaggy hair that needed cutting, a red t-shirt with a faded superhero logo, jeans that were an inch too short. Miguel David would learn his name later. The kid stood very still, unnaturally still for a child that age. The kind of stillness that came from being taught not to draw attention, not to ask, not to want. But children can't help wanting. Miguel's eyes had found Tommy's plate, and locked there. It wasn't casual interest. It wasn't the normal kid-to-kid curiosity about what another child was eating. This was something rawer. Hunger. Not the "I'm ready for lunch" kind. The real kind. The kind that lived in your bones and taught you to notice every scrap of food within eyesight. David's throat tightened. "Dad?" Tommy's voice pulled him back. "You're not listening." "Sorry, bud. You were saying about the tryouts." But Tommy had followed his father's gaze. "Why's that boy staring at my food?" "Maybe he's just curious." "It's kinda weird." "Be kind, Tommy. You don't know his story." Across the restaurant, the hostess was gesturing toward the menu. The woman, Rachel Martinez, though David didn't know that yet, was shaking her head, pointing to something specific. The hostess's smile became a bit strained. Professional, but cool. Rachel pulled a small notepad from her purse, wrote something down, showed it to Miguel, who nodded solemnly. Then she approached a nearby waiter, a young guy with slicked back hair and a name tag that read Brett. David couldn't hear the conversation, but he could read body language fluently. Rachel pointed to something on the menu. Brett wrote it down, nodded. Rachel opened her purse. Her hands, David noticed they were shaking slightly. Pulled out a worn wallet. She opened it. Counted bills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 singles. Then she dug in the bottom of her purse. Found coins. Started counting those too. Brett stood there waiting. His expression shifted from neutral to uncomfortable. Rachel's lips moved. Brett leaned down to hear her better. Nodded. Walked away. She sat there, Miguel beside her, hands folded on the table. The boy's eyes kept drifting back to Tommy's plate. Rachel would catch him looking and gently turn his face toward her. Whisper something in Spanish. Miguel would nod. Look away. Then inevitably his gaze would drift back. David felt something crack open in his chest. A memory he'd buried deep. Tommy had been 6 months old. David had been 23. Jobless, his wife gone, just vanished one morning with a note that said she couldn't do this anymore. He'd been standing outside a diner in the rain, baby. Tommy bundled in his jacket, counting quarters and dimes spread across his palm. $7.40. The lunch special was $8.50. He'd stood there for 10 minutes, frozen by the arithmetic of impossible choices. Finally, he'd walked away, found a convenience store, bought a can of formula for $4, used the rest for gas, went hungry himself for 2 days. The memory made his hands shake. Brett returned to Rachel's table carrying just 2 glasses of water. No food. He set them down, said something brief, and walked away. Rachel's shoulders hunched. She took a long drink of water. Miguel copied her, both small hands wrapped around the glass. They sat there for maybe 3 minutes. Rachel stared at the table. Miguel drank his water slowly, making it last. His eyes found Tommy's burger again. This time he didn't look away when his mother noticed, just kept staring with an expression that made David's chest hurt. Rachel stood abruptly, took Miguel's hand, started walking toward the exit. The boy looked back. One long look at Tommy's plate, at the golden fries, at the half-eaten burger, at everything he couldn't have. David moved without thinking. "Tommy, stay here. I'll be right back." "Where are you?" But David was already weaving through tables. He reached the entrance just as Rachel pushed open the glass door. Afternoon sunlight cut across her face, highlighting the tension in her jaw. "Excuse me." His voice came out rougher than intended. "Wait. Please." Rachel froze mid-step. Her back stiffened. When she turned, her eyes were guarded. Not just cautious, armored. The eyes of someone who'd been hurt by strangers and learned to expect the worst from kindness. "Yes." Her tone was flat, careful. Up close, David could see more. The careful way she'd done her makeup to hide dark circles. The small gold cross at her neck, a necklace that looked like it meant something. The way her hand tightened protectively around Miguel's. "I'm sorry to bother you." David kept his voice gentle, non-threatening. "I just thought my son and we have plenty of food, more than we can finish. And I thought maybe you and your son might like to join us. No pressure, just we'd be happy to have the company." Rachel's expression didn't soften. If anything, it hardened. "No." One word, sharp as broken glass. "Thank you, but no. I didn't mean to offend. We're fine." Her voice had an edge now. "We don't need your charity." "It's not charity. It's just—" "I know what it is." Rachel's eyes flashed. "And I said no." Miguel tugged his mother's hand. "Mama. No, mijo." She switched to Spanish, her voice softening just for him, but keeping the firmness underneath. "Vamos." David held up his hands, taking a small step back. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I just saw—" He stopped himself. "I'm sorry." Rachel's jaw worked. For just a second, something flickered across her face. Not anger. Something sadder. Something like shame, mixed with defiance, mixed with exhaustion. Then she turned and walked out, pulling Miguel with her. David stood in the doorway, feeling like he'd somehow made everything worse. Through the glass, he watched them walk down the sidewalk. Rachel's back was straight, prideful. Miguel had to jog every few steps to keep up with her longer stride. The boy looked back once, met David's eyes through the glass. Then they turned a corner and disappeared. "Sir," the hostess's voice behind him. "Is everything okay?" "Yeah." David's voice was rough. "Yeah, sorry." He returned to his table. Tommy was watching him with worried eyes. "Is that boy okay, Dad?" David sat heavily, picked up his fork, but the burger suddenly looked obscene. All that food, all that waste. How many times had he thrown away half a plate of fries without thinking, "I don't know, bud"? They looked hungry. Yeah. Why didn't they want to eat with us? How do you explain pride to an 8-year-old? How do you explain that sometimes accepting help feels like admitting you've failed? That sometimes people who offer help want something in return that costs more than any meal? Sometimes it's hard for people to accept help from strangers, David said carefully, even when they need it. But why? Because, David chose his words carefully, because sometimes people who offer help aren't really being kind. Sometimes they want something back, something that makes the person they helped feel bad or trapped. So some people learn to say no to everyone, even the good people, because it's safer. Tommy absorbed this solemnly. That's sad. Yeah, buddy, it is. They finished lunch in silence. David paid the bill, left a heavy tip, and they walked to the car. As he buckled Tommy into the back seat, his son spoke up again. Dad, were we ever like that boy? Like, really hungry? David's hands stilled on the seatbelt. He looked at his son, healthy, well-fed, dressed in new sneakers and a clean shirt. Safe. Yeah, Tommy. We were. Before you'd remember. When you were a baby. What happened? Someone helped us. A man named Mr. Harrison. He gave me a job and treated me with respect. He didn't make me feel small for needing help. Is that why you tried to help that lady? Yeah. She seemed mad. She wasn't mad at me, bud. She was scared. There's a difference. David started the car, but his mind was still on Rachel's face. That flash of pain behind the anger. The way she'd held Miguel's hand, protective, territorial, loving. He understood that impulse. The fierce need to protect your child from everything, including help, that might come with strings attached. They drove home in silence. Tommy fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from soccer practice and a full stomach. David carried him inside, laid him on the couch, covered him with a blanket. Then he stood at his living room window, looking out at the suburban street. Neat lawns, 2-car garages. The kind of neighborhood he'd dreamed about when he was living in his Honda Civic with a baby. He'd built this life through brutal work and one crucial break. Mr. Harrison had given him that break, not charity, opportunity, the chance to prove himself. And David had taken that chance and run with it until his consulting firm was billing 6 figures a month. But what good was success if he couldn't pass forward what was given to him? The problem was how. Rachel had made it clear she wanted nothing from him. Pushing would only make it worse, making her feel pursued or pressured. David thought about Mr. Harrison. The older man had been in his 60s when he'd hired David to wash dishes at his restaurant. He'd never preached, never made David feel like a charity case. He'd just been there, steady, respectful, patient. He'd let David come to him. Maybe that was the answer. Not pursuing, just being present, creating opportunities without pressure. Over the next 3 days, David found himself thinking about Rachel and Miguel constantly. Not obsessively, just concerned. The way you'd worry about a stranger you passed on the street who looked like they needed help but wouldn't accept it. He drove past Riverside Bistro twice. Didn't go in. Just looked. Didn't see them. On Thursday, he picked Tommy up from school, and they went to Riverside Park like they did every Thursday. It was their routine. Tommy would play on the equipment for an hour, while David caught up on work emails from a bench. Then they'd grab dinner on the way home. David was answering an email from a client when Tommy's voice cut through his concentration. Dad, it's that boy. From the restaurant. David's head snapped up. There at the swings was Miguel. His shaggy dark hair was unmistakable. He was pumping his legs, going higher, his face split in a grin of pure joy. The first happy expression David had seen on him. And on a bench about 20 feet away sat Rachel. She was wearing the same denim jacket. Her eyes never left her son. Vigilant, protective. David's heart rate picked up. This was chance, or fate, or just the way life worked in a small city where people's orbits sometimes intersected. He didn't move, didn't call out, just sat on his bench about 30 feet from Rachel's and went back to his phone. But he wasn't reading anymore. He was just present, visible but not threatening. After about 5 minutes, Rachel noticed him. He felt her gaze before he saw it. When he glanced up casually, their eyes met. She recognized him immediately. Her back went rigid. Her hand moved to her purse, not reaching for anything, just a defensive gesture. David nodded once, a simple acknowledgement, then looked back down at his phone. He could feel her watching him, assessing, deciding if she needed to leave. He didn't look up again, gave her space to make that decision without pressure. Tommy had noticed too. "Dad, that's the boy from—" "I know." David kept his voice low. "Let's just play. Don't make a big deal about it, okay?" "Can I play with him?" "If he wants to play with you, sure, but don't push it." Tommy nodded seriously and ran toward the swings. David watched peripherally as his son approached Miguel. Saw them talk. Saw Miguel glance toward his mother, who nodded slowly. Then both boys were racing toward the jungle gym, laughing. David smiled. Kids made it look so easy. For the next 45 minutes, he sat on his bench. Rachel sat on hers. The distance between them felt like miles and inches at the same time. He didn't approach her. Didn't even look her way more than a few casual glances. Just let the boys play. Let her see that he wasn't a threat, that he could be near without demanding anything. When it was time to go, he called Tommy over. "Aw, Dad, can we stay longer?" "Not today, bud. We've got dinner plans." Miguel had followed Tommy over. Up close, David could see he had his mother's dark eyes and the same serious expression she wore. "Bye, Miguel," Tommy said. "Maybe we'll see you here again." Miguel nodded shyly. "Bye." David met Rachel's eyes across the distance. Nodded once. She didn't nod back, just watched him with that guarded expression. They left. In the car, Tommy was buzzing with energy. "Miguel's really cool, Dad. He knows like a million facts about dinosaurs. Did you know some dinosaurs had feathers? I didn't know that." "That's cool, bud. Can we come back to the park tomorrow?" "We'll see." But David already knew they would. Over the next 2 weeks, it became a pattern. Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, David and Tommy would go to Riverside Park. Sometimes Rachel and Miguel were there. Sometimes they weren't. When they were there, David kept his distance. 30 feet. Then, after a few days, 25. Then 20. He never approached, never waved. Just sat on his bench and worked on his laptop or read a book while the boys played. And slowly, so slowly, David almost didn't notice it happening. Rachel's shoulders lost some of their defensive hunch. She stopped watching him like he might attack at any moment. Started bringing a sketchbook and actually drawing instead of just monitoring for threats. The distance closed. 20 feet. 15. 10. And then, on a warm October afternoon, 2.5 weeks after that first encounter at the restaurant, Rachel sat on the opposite end of David's bench. Not right next to him, a good 4 feet of space between them, but on the same bench. David's heart kicked against his ribs. He didn't look up from his book, didn't react, just let it happen naturally. They sat in silence for maybe 10 minutes. The boys played. A breeze moved through the oak trees overhead. Somewhere a dog barked. It was Rachel who spoke first. "You've been very patient." David looked up, met her eyes. "I wasn't trying to be strategic. I just didn't want to make you uncomfortable." Most men would have pushed. "I'm not most men." She studied him. "No, I'm starting to see that." Another silence. Not awkward. Just careful. Two people navigating unfamiliar territory. "My name's David. David Chen." "Rachel Martinez." She paused. "And that's Miguel." "My son's Tommy." They've become friends. "Yeah. Kids make it look easy, don't they?" A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "They do." Miguel ran over breathless. "Mama, can Tommy come over for a play date?" Rachel's expression shuddered immediately. "Mijo, we've talked about this. We can't—" "It's okay." David interjected gently. Maybe another time. Miguel's face fell. But... Mijo. Rachel's voice was firm. Yeah. Miguel trudged back toward the playground, shoulders slumped. Rachel's jaw was tight. I'm sorry. We don't have space for playdates right now. David understood what she wasn't saying. That they probably didn't have a place at all, or if they did, it wasn't somewhere she felt comfortable inviting people. No apology needed. Tommy and Miguel can play here. That's enough. Rachel looked at him. Really looked, searching for judgment. Finding none. You really don't want anything from me, do you? No. Why not everyone wants something? David closed his book. Can I tell you something? 12 years ago, I was living in my car with baby Tommy. His mother had left. I had no job, no prospects, no family to help. I was terrified every day that someone would see us, that they'd take him away because I couldn't provide. Rachel's eyes widened. A restaurant owner named Mr. Harrison gave me a dishwashing job. He paid me fairly, treated me with respect, never once made me feel like I owed him anything beyond honest work. When I was ready to move up, he helped me find a better position. When I started my consulting firm years later, he invested in me. Refused to take any equity, just said, when you can help someone else do it, that's how you pay me back. So you're trying to pay it forward. I'm trying. But I learned from Mr. Harrison that real help doesn't come with strings. It's not a transaction. It's just recognizing another human being's struggle and having the means to make it easier. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was careful, controlled. 2 years ago, someone offered to help me. David waited. His name was Richard. He owned several businesses, seemed kind, successful, generous. He offered me a job when no one else would. Good pay, flexible hours for Miguel. It felt like a miracle. David's stomach tightened. He could already see where this was going. At first, everything was fine. Then he started asking for things, small favors, work late, dinner with clients, wear something different. Every request came with a reminder of how much he'd done for me. Rachel's hands had curled into fists. When I said no, he changed. Said I owed him. That if I wanted to keep my job, keep a roof over Miguel's head, I needed to show my appreciation. Jesus. I quit, walked out that same day. He made sure no one in his network would hire me. We lost our apartment, spent 3 months in a shelter. She looked at him. So when you offered help at that restaurant, all I could think was, here we go again. Another man who wants something. Another trap. David felt rage on her behalf, but he kept his voice gentle. I'm sorry that happened to you. I understand why you'd be cautious. I've been waiting for you to show your true colors, to ask for something, to make a move. I'm not going to. How do I know that? You don't. You can't. David spread his hands. Trust has to be built over time through actions, not words. Richard probably said all the right things too. He did. All I can offer is time, and consistency, and respect for your boundaries. He paused. But Rachel, I want you to know I run a consulting firm. I need someone for administrative work, scheduling client correspondence, basic accounting. It's real work with real responsibilities. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering an interview for a legitimate job. Rachel's breath caught. Why would you do that? Because Mr. Harrison did it for me. Because Miguel deserves more than this. Because you deserve a fair shot. He pulled a business card from his wallet, set it on the bench between them. No pressure. Think about it. If you want to interview, call me. If not, that's fine too. Either way, the boys can still play here. He stood, called Tommy. They left. Rachel sat on the bench for a long time after they were gone, staring at the business card. Chen Consulting. David Chen, founder and CEO. In her pocket, her last $20 bill felt heavy. Rent was due in 4 days. She had $68 total. Rent was $350. She was $300 short with no plan and no options. Miguel ran over sweaty and happy. Is Tommy coming back? Probably. On Thursday. Good, he's my best friend. Rachel's throat tightened. Mijo, don't get too attached, okay? People don't stay. Tommy's dad seems nice. I know, baby. But nice isn't always safe. Miguel looked at her with those serious dark eyes. Are we safe, Mama? Rachel pulled him close. Always. I'll always keep you safe. Even if it meant rejecting help. Even if it meant $300 short on rent with eviction looming. Even if it meant watching her son go hungry. At least they'd be safe from men like Richard. At least she'd still have her dignity. She picked up David's business card. Almost threw it in the trash. Instead, she slipped it into her pocket. Just in case. That night, Rachel counted the money again. Same result. $68. She'd counted it 4 times already, as if the bills might multiply through sheer desperation. Miguel was asleep on the pull-out couch in their motel room. The Riverside Inn wasn't really an inn, it was a weekly rental place where people stayed when they had nowhere else to go. $200 a week for a room with a hot plate, a mini-fridge that buzzed all night, and a bathroom where the shower only worked if you held the handle just right. 3 weeks ago, they'd been at the shelter. This was an upgrade. Sort of. Rachel pulled David's business card from her pocket, studied it in the dim light from the bedside lamp. The cardstock was thick expensive. Embossed lettering, Chen Consulting, founder and CEO. She could look him up online. She'd been avoiding it, afraid of what she might find. Or might not find. What if it was all fake? What if this was just Richard all over again, but with better patience? Her phone was old, the screen cracked, but it worked. She typed his name into Google. The results loaded slowly. David Chen, 35 years old, founded Chen Consulting 8 years ago, specialized in tech startup advisement and business restructuring. His company had worked with some major names. There were articles about him in local business journals. One from 3 years ago about young entrepreneurs making a difference. Rachel clicked on images. There he was, same face, same quiet intensity. In most photos, he looked serious professional. But there was one from some charity event where he was smiling. Really smiling. Standing next to an older Chinese man with white hair. The caption read, David Chen, with mentor James Harrison, at the Community Kitchen fundraiser. James Harrison, not Mr. Harrison. James. Rachel clicked back to articles. Searched David Chen James Harrison. Found an obituary from 2 years ago. James Harrison, 73, owner of Harrison's Family Restaurant for 42 years. Survived by his wife Margaret. 3 children, 7 grandchildren. In lieu of flowers, donations to the Community Kitchen. So Mr. Harrison was real. Had been real. And if that part was true, maybe the rest was too. Rachel's hands were shaking. She set the phone down, looked at Miguel sleeping, his small chest rising and falling. His face peaceful in a way it never was during waking hours when hunger and uncertainty shadowed his eyes. She'd been protecting him, keeping them safe from men who pretended to help but really wanted to own. That was the right choice, the smart choice. But what if she was wrong this time? What if saying no to David meant saying no to the one chance Miguel had at something better? Her phone buzzed. Text from the motel manager. Rent due Thursday. Please have full amount ready. Thursday. 2 days away. Rachel closed her eyes, breathed deep, picked up the phone. Her fingers hovered over the keypad. David's number was right there on the card. She could call. Ask about the interview. Or she could walk down to the 24-hour diner and beg for shifts. Or she could what? There were no other options. She'd already applied everywhere within bus range. Nobody was hiring. Or nobody was hiring her. She dialed before she could talk herself out of it. It rang 4 times. Rachel almost hung up. Then his voice. Hello. He sounded tired but alert, not annoyed to be getting a call at 9:30 on a Tuesday night. Mr. Chen, this is Rachel Martinez. We met at... I remember, Rachel. Hi. I'm sorry to call so late. It's fine. Is everything okay? Was it? Nothing was okay. Everything was falling apart. But she couldn't say that. I wanted to ask about the interview, if the position is still available. Silence for 3 seconds. Rachel's stomach dropped. Too late. He'd changed his mind. Of course he had. Then, it's still available. When would work for you? Whenever is convenient for you, Mr. Chen. David, please. She could hear something rustling like papers. How about Friday morning 10 o'clock? Friday, after rent was due. After she'd have to explain to the motel manager she didn't have the money. After they'd have 24 hours to vacate. Could we possibly do it sooner? Thursday, maybe? Another pause. Is Thursday urgent? Rachel closed her eyes. Yes. Okay. No questions, no judgment in his tone. Thursday at 10 then. Do you have something to write down the address? She grabbed a pen from her purse, wrote on the back of a receipt. His office was downtown 5th floor of the Morrison Building. Thank you, Mr. David. Thank you. See you Thursday, Rachel. She hung up, stared at the address, felt the weight of what she'd just done settle over her shoulders. This was either the smartest decision she'd made in 2 years, or the biggest mistake. Thursday morning, Rachel woke at 6. Miguel was still asleep, curled on his side with his hands tucked under his cheek. She watched him for a moment, gathering courage from his peaceful face. She'd ironed her interview outfit last night, using the iron she'd borrowed from the front desk. Black slacks she'd had since before Miguel was born, a cream-colored blouse that was maybe a little too summery for October, but was the nicest thing she owned. The jacket that matched the slacks had a small stain on the collar, so she'd just have to go without. Her shoes were the biggest problem. Worn black flats with the sole starting to separate on the left one. She'd glued it back together with super glue from the dollar store. It would hold. Probably. Miguel stirred, opened his eyes. Buenos dias, mijo. Morning, Mama, he yawned. Are you going somewhere? I have an interview this morning. For a job. His eyes widened. Really? Really? Mrs. Patterson from downstairs is going to watch you for a few hours, okay? The lady with the cats. She only has 2 cats. That's still a lot of cats. Rachel smiled despite her nerves. Be good for her, and there's cereal for breakfast. She'd splurged on a box of store-brand cornflakes. $23 left until she got paid for this week's laundromat shifts, if she got paid. Manuel had been talking about cutting hours. Mrs. Patterson arrived at 8:30. She was 70-something, kind-eyed, and asked too many questions, but meant well. Rachel left detailed instructions, even though she'd only be gone 3 hours maximum. The bus downtown took 40 minutes. Rachel spent the ride rehearsing answers to interview questions. What's your greatest weakness? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why should we hire you? Because I'm desperate didn't seem like the right answer, even if it was the truest. The Morrison Building was glass and steel, modern and imposing. Rachel's reflection in the lobby windows looked small and out of place. The directory listed Chen Consulting on the 5th floor. She took the elevator. Her palms were sweating. She wiped them on her slacks, hoping it wouldn't leave marks. The 5th floor opened into a small reception area. Clean lines. Minimalist furniture, a few plants that looked healthy and well cared for. A young woman sat at the desk, maybe mid-20s, with bright red hair and multiple ear piercings. Hi, can I help you? I have an appointment with David Chen, at 10, Rachel Martinez. The receptionist checked her computer. Yes, you're on the schedule. I'm Kira, by the way, office manager. David's in a call, but he should be done any minute. You can have a seat. Rachel sat on the edge of a modern chair that was more stylish than comfortable. Tried not to fidget. Noticed the coffee table had actual magazines, not the torn ones from 6 months ago that most waiting rooms had. A door opened. David emerged, phone to his ear, nodding. Right. Okay, send me the revised proposal by Monday and we'll review. Thanks, Marcus. He ended the call, saw Rachel, smiled. Rachel, right on time. Come on back. His office was corner-positioned with windows on 2 sides. Desk organized, but not obsessively so. A bookshelf full of business texts and a few novels. And on his desk, a framed photo of Tommy in a soccer uniform, grinning with a missing front tooth. Have a seat. David gestured to a chair across from his desk. Can I get you anything, coffee, water? Water would be nice. Thank you. He poured from a pitcher on the side table. Real glasses, not disposable cups. Handed it to her. Sat behind his desk, but angled his chair toward her instead of behind the barrier of the desk. A deliberate choice, Rachel realized, to seem less intimidating. So, David folded his hands. Tell me about your work experience. Rachel had prepared for this. She went through her history: administrative assistant at a dental office before Miguel was born, volunteer coordinator for her church, before that bookkeeping for a small grocery store during college. She didn't mention the 3-year gap. Didn't mention Richard. David listened without interrupting, took a few notes. When she finished, he nodded. That's a solid background. The position I'm looking to fill is administrative but with room to grow. Scheduling client correspondence, some light bookkeeping, database management. Eventually, if you're interested, project coordination. That sounds perfect. What made you leave your last position? There it was. The question she'd been dreading. Rachel chose her words carefully. Personal circumstances. I needed to take time to focus on my son. How old is he? 6, first grade. Tommy's 8, second grade. David smiled. They seem to get along. They do. Will childcare be an issue? For this position? No. Miguel's in school until 3. I can arrange care after that. How she didn't know. But she'd figure it out. David pulled out a folder. This is the position description and proposed contract. Base salary is $42,000 annually, paid bi-weekly. Health insurance after 90 days. 2 weeks PTO after 6 months. Rachel's breath caught. $42,000. That was more than she'd made at the dental office. That was rent and food and maybe even saving a little. That was stability. There's a 3-month probationary period, David continued. During that time, either of us can terminate with 1 week's notice. After 3 months, it becomes permanent with benefits. Everything's outlined here. He slid the folder across. I'd encourage you to take this home, read it carefully, maybe have someone look it over. Rachel picked up the folder. The contract was several pages professionally formatted. She skimmed the first page. Everything he'd said was there in clear language. I don't need to take it home. David raised an eyebrow. You sure there's no rush? I've read enough contracts to know when one is fair. She looked up. This is more than fair. It's generous. It's market rate for the work. You'd be earning it. When would you want me to start? Monday. That gives you a few days to sort out logistics. Monday. 4 days away. Rachel did the math. First paycheck would be 2 weeks after that. 3 weeks total before money came in. 3 weeks she didn't have. Her face must have shown something because David leaned forward slightly. If the start date is a problem, we can work something out. No, it's Monday is fine. Rachel. His voice was gentle. If you need an advance on the first paycheck, that's standard. Lots of people need help with the transition period. Pride warred with desperation. Pride was losing. I don't want special treatment. It's not special treatment. It's literally a checkbox on the HR paperwork. Advance on first check, yes or no. Probably half our employees check yes. Rachel's throat was tight. Then yes, please. Done. Stop by tomorrow, sign the paperwork, and Kira will cut you a check. How does a week's advance sound? $1,600 before taxes. $1,600. It felt like a fortune and a lifeline and a trap all at once. That would help. A lot. David smiled. Great. Welcome to Chen Consulting, Rachel. He stood, extended his hand. Rachel stood too, shook it. His grip was firm but not aggressive. Professional. Thank you, David. I won't let you down. I know you won't. She left the office feeling like she was floating, or drowning. She couldn't tell which. On the bus ride back, she read the contract 3 times, looking for the catch, the clause that would trap her. But it was straightforward. Fair. Exactly what he'd said it would be. Maybe this was real. Maybe David Chen was exactly who he appeared to be, a man who'd been helped once and wanted to pass it forward. Or maybe he was just better at the game than Richard had been. She'd know soon enough. Mrs. Patterson had Miguel drawing pictures at the kitchen table when Rachel returned. He looked up, eyes bright with hope. Did you get it, Mama? Rachel knelt beside him, pulled him into a hug. I got it, mijo. I got the job. Miguel squeezed her tight. I knew you would. You're the smartest person ever. Rachel's eyes burned with tears. You're pretty smart yourself, kid. That night after Miguel was asleep, Rachel sat at the tiny table and stared at the contract again. Tomorrow she'd sign it. Get the advance. Pay the rent. Start over. Start trusting again. The thought terrified her. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Hi Rachel, it's David. Just wanted to say again that we're glad to have you on the team. No need to respond, just wanted you to know. See you tomorrow. Rachel stared at the message. It was kind, professional, appropriate, not possessive, not demanding, just kind. She typed back, thank you. See you tomorrow. Set the phone down, breathed deep. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe. Friday morning, Rachel dressed carefully. Same interview outfit, she didn't have many choices. Miguel was excited, bouncing as he ate his cereal. Are you nervous, Mama? A little. Don't be. You're going to be great. She kissed the top of his head. When did you get so wise? I learned from you. Mrs. Patterson took Miguel to school. Rachel caught the bus downtown. Arrived at Chen Consulting at 9:30 for her 10 o'clock appointment with HR. Kira greeted her warmly. David's in meetings all morning, but he left everything for you. Come on, I'll walk you through the paperwork. The next hour was forms, tax documents, direct deposit information, emergency contacts. Rachel listed Mrs. Patterson, then felt pathetic about it. The advance request form that David had mentioned. Insurance enrollment that she'd qualify for in 90 days. Okay, last thing. Kira pulled out a check. Your advance, $1,600 gross, comes to about $1,320 after taxes. David said to tell you this isn't a loan, it's just an advance on your first check, so your first actual paycheck will be about $500 less than normal. That work? Yes, thank you. Kira handed her the check. Rachel stared at it. $1,320. More money than she'd seen in one place in months. You okay? Kira's voice was concerned. Yeah, sorry, just thank you. Girl, I've been there. When David hired me 3 years ago, I was living in my sister's basement with my daughter. He did the same advance for me. This place, she gestured around. David's good people. Little intense sometimes about quality work, but fair. Stick around, you'll see. Rachel folded the check carefully, put it in her purse. One more thing, Kira said. Monday come in at 9. David usually does a welcome breakfast for new hires. Nothing fancy, just bagels and coffee, gets to know you a bit. Sound good? Sounds perfect. Rachel deposited the check on her way home, stood at the ATM watching the balance update. Enough for rent, enough for groceries, enough to breathe for the first time in months. She paid the motel manager that afternoon. He counted the bills slowly, suspiciously, like he expected them to vanish. You're paid through next Thursday, he said. After that, it's week to week. I understand. Thank you. You get a job. I did, he grunted. Good. You're one of the quiet ones. Don't cause trouble. I appreciate that. It was the closest thing to a compliment she'd get from him. Saturday. Rachel took Miguel to the park. Their park. The place where this all started. Tommy and David were already there. Tommy saw Miguel and waved excitedly. The boys ran toward each other like long-lost friends, even though it had only been 3 days. David walked over, hands in his pockets. Hey. Hey. You get everything sorted with the paperwork. All done. Thank you again for all of it. You don't need to keep thanking me, Rachel. You earned this. Did I? I haven't worked a day yet. You will. And you'll be good at it. He smiled. Kira said you impressed her. She's picky about new people. She was nice. She's protective. Of the team, of the culture. If she likes you, that's a good sign. They stood in comfortable silence watching the boys play. After a moment, David spoke again. Can I ask you something? Rachel tensed. Okay. Thursday when you called, you sounded stressed. Was it just about the interview, or was there something else? She could lie. Keep her struggles private. But what was the point now? He'd already seen her at her lowest. Rent was due. I didn't have enough. David nodded slowly. And now I do, because of the advance. Good. He didn't probe further. Didn't ask how far behind she was, or how bad it had been. Just accepted her answer. Monday's going to be good, Rachel. I have a feeling about it. I hope so. I know so. Miguel ran over breathless. Mama, can Tommy come over now, please? Rachel's automatic no was on her lips. Then she stopped. Looked at the motel room in her mind, cramped, shabby, embarrassing. But Miguel's face was so hopeful. We don't have much space, she said carefully. It's pretty small. I don't care about space, Tommy said. Miguel said he has 50 dinosaur facts. I only know like 20. David met Rachel's eyes. No judgment there. Just patience. Okay, Rachel heard herself say, but just for a little while. The boys cheered. David raised an eyebrow. You sure? Yeah, it's fine. It wasn't fine. The motel room was humiliating, but maybe that was her pride talking. Maybe Tommy wouldn't care. Maybe kids didn't notice the things adults obsessed over. They drove in David's car, a sensible sedan, not too flashy. Miguel gave Tommy the tour of their room, which took about 30 seconds. This is where we sleep. This is the bathroom. This is the kitchen, which is really just a hot plate. Tommy looked around with interest, not pity. Cool, it's like camping indoors. Miguel grinned. That's what Mama says too. The boys settled on the floor with Miguel's small collection of toy dinosaurs. David stood awkwardly near the door. You can sit, Rachel said, gesturing to one of 2 chairs at the small table. Thanks. He sat, looked around but not in an assessing way. Just looking. You've made it homey. It's temporary. Most things are. They sat in silence while the boys played. It should have been uncomfortable, should have been awkward, but somehow it wasn't. After 20 minutes, David stood. We should head out. Let you have your afternoon. Ah, Dad, Tommy protested. Miguel's mom has things to do, bud. Say thank you for having us. Tommy hugged Miguel goodbye. See you Monday. Dad says your mom is working at his office now. Miguel looked at Rachel with shining eyes. Really, Mama? Really? After they left, Miguel was electric with happiness. Mama, this is the best day ever. You got a job and Tommy came over. Rachel pulled him close. Pretty good day, huh? The best. That night, lying in bed after Miguel was asleep, Rachel let herself feel something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Dangerous, fragile, terrifying hope. Monday would come. She'd start her new job. She'd work hard, prove herself, build something stable for Miguel. And maybe, just maybe, David Chen was exactly who he appeared to be. A man who'd been helped once and wanted to pass it forward. Nothing more. Nothing less. She could work with that. She had to. Monday morning arrived with the kind of nervous energy that made Rachel's hands shake as she buttoned her blouse. She'd gotten Miguel ready early, dropped him at school with Mrs. Patterson's daughter, who did morning care, and caught the 7:30 bus downtown. Better to be an hour early than 5 minutes late. The office was quiet when she arrived at 8:15. Kira wasn't at her desk yet. Rachel stood in the reception area, suddenly uncertain. Should she wait? Go to David's office? She didn't even know where her desk was. "You're early." David's voice came from behind her. He was carrying 2 coffee cups from the shop downstairs. "That's good. Shows initiative. Or anxiety. Probably both." Rachel managed a small smile. "Definitely both." "Here." He handed her one of the cups. "Wasn't sure how you take it, so I got cream and sugar on the side." "Black is fine. Thank you." David gestured down the hallway. "Come on, I'll show you your space. Kira won't be in until 9, and the rest of the team trickles in between 8:30 and 9:30. I'm the early bird around here." Her desk was in a small office with a window, not a cubicle. The desk was clean organized with a new computer already set up. There was even a small plant on the corner. "Kira's touch," David said, noticing her looking at it. "She says every workspace needs something living. I think it's a succulent. Hard to kill, apparently. It's perfect." "Good." He set his coffee on her desk. "So here's how today's going to go. 9 o'clock we'll do the welcome breakfast with the team. Just bagels, nothing formal. Then I'll walk you through our system's email client database scheduling software. This afternoon you'll shadow Kira for a few hours, see how things run day to day. Sound manageable?" "Very manageable." "Great. I'll let you get settled. If you need anything, my office is the corner one at the end of the hall." He left. Rachel sat at her desk, ran her hands over the clean surface. Opened the drawers empty, except for basic office supplies. Pens, notepad, stapler. Everything new. She logged into the computer using the credentials Kira had given her Friday. Her email account was already active. One message waiting from David sent at 7 this morning. "Welcome to the team, Rachel. Looking forward to working with you. First week can be overwhelming, so don't hesitate to ask questions. No such thing as a stupid question here, just opportunities to learn. David." Rachel read it twice. Professional, encouraging, appropriate. She was still looking for the trap, the moment when the facade would crack and reveal Richard underneath. But so far, nothing. At 9, voices filled the hallway. Rachel heard laughter, the sound of multiple people arriving at once. Her stomach tightened. Kira appeared in her doorway. "Ready for the breakfast thing? It's super casual, don't worry." The conference room held about 8 people clustered around a table loaded with bagels, cream cheese, fruit, and coffee. They looked up when Rachel entered, and she fought the urge to run. David stood at the head of the table. "Everyone, this is Rachel Martinez, our new administrative coordinator. Rachel, this is the team." He went around introducing them. Marcus-led consultant, early 40s with graying temples. Jen, marketing director, 30s, pregnant and glowing. Tom and Sarah, junior consultants, both fresh-faced and eager. Lisa, bookkeeper, 50s, kind eyes. A few others whose names immediately left Rachel's anxious brain. "Rachel has a 6-year-old son," David continued. "So she'll be on a strict schedule, in at 9, out at 3:30 to make school pickup. We're going to respect that boundary. If anyone needs something from her after 3:30, it can wait until the next morning, or you can come to me." Rachel's throat tightened. He'd just normalized her schedule, made it a non-issue, protected her from any potential resentment before it could start. "Welcome aboard," Marcus said, raising his coffee cup. "Fair warning. David's a bit of a perfectionist, but he's fair about it." "I prefer detail-oriented," David said dryly. "That's what perfectionists always say," Jen laughed. The breakfast was easy after that. People asked her questions. Where was she from? How old was her son? Had she been to the new taco place downtown? Normal questions, friendly questions. Nobody asked about her employment gap or why she'd applied. By 9:30, people were drifting back to their offices. Kira pulled Rachel aside. Okay, real talk. David's a great boss, but he's intense. He cares a lot about quality work. He'll never yell or be mean, but he will ask you to redo something if it's not right. Don't take it personally. I won't. Good. Also, he's big on work-life balance, which is rare. Like genuinely big on it. If you're sick, stay home. If your kid's sick, stay home. He doesn't want martyrs. He wants healthy employees who can do good work. Got it. Got it. Perfect. Now let's get you set up with the database. The next 4 hours were a blur of passwords, software tutorials, and file organization systems. Rachel took notes frantically, trying to absorb everything. The client database alone was complex. Hundreds of entries each with detailed notes about projects, communications, preferences. Don't stress, Kira said, watching Rachel's increasingly frantic note-taking. It'll take a couple weeks to feel comfortable. Nobody expects you to know everything on day one. At 12:30, David appeared in the doorway. How's it going? Good, Rachel said. My brain is very full. He smiled. Normal. Take an hour for lunch. There's a deli downstairs, or you can bring something. We're flexible. I brought something. Perfect. Use the break room. And Rachel. He waited until she looked up. You're doing fine. Kira would have told me if you weren't. After he left, Kira grinned. See, he checks in. Cares about how people are settling in. My first day, he probably asked me 5 times if I was okay. Rachel ate her sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, Miguel's favorite, that she'd made 2 of this morning in the break room. Scrolled through her phone. A text from Mrs. Patterson's daughter. Miguel doing great at school. Pick up at 3:15 as planned. Another text, this one from David. Forgot to mention we do a team lunch every Friday. Completely optional. No pressure, but you're always welcome to join. Rachel typed back. Thank you. I'll think about it. The afternoon was more shadowing. Kira watching how she managed David's calendar, how she handled client calls, how she coordinated between team members. Kira made it look effortless, but Rachel could see the skill underneath. The way she anticipated needs, managed personalities, kept everything running smoothly. How long have you worked here? Rachel asked during a quiet moment. 3 years. I was working retail before this, barely making rent. My daughter was 2, her dad was gone, and I was drowning. Kira's voice was matter-of-fact. David was a customer at the store. We got talking. He mentioned he was hiring. I almost didn't apply because I didn't have the experience, but I was desperate enough to try. And he hired you. He saw potential. That's his thing. He looks past resumes and sees people. Gives chances when nobody else will. She looked at Rachel directly. I'm guessing that's your story too. Rachel nodded slowly. Something like that. Whatever brought you here, you earned this job. Remember that. David doesn't do pity hires. If you're here, it's because he believes you can do the work. At 3:15, Rachel logged off her computer. David was walking past her office as she gathered her things. Heading out. Yes, school pickup. Good. See you tomorrow. And Rachel, great first day. The words were simple, but they settled something anxious in Rachel's chest. She'd survived day 1. More than survived, she'd actually done it. Miguel was waiting at pickup, backpack bouncing as he ran to her. Mama, how was work? It was good, mijo. How was school? I got a gold star on my math worksheet. And guess what? Tommy's in the same lunch period as me. We sat together. Rachel's heart clenched. Of course they did. Because their lives were tangling together now for better or worse. That first week passed in a blur of learning and exhaustion. Rachel absorbed information like a sponge, took notes, asked questions, stayed until exactly 3:30 each day. David was exacting but patient. When she made mistakes, wrong meeting time in his calendar email sent to the wrong client, he corrected her calmly. Here's what happened, he'd say, pulling up the error. See the issue? This is how to fix it. Make sense. No anger, no condescension, just teaching. By Friday, Rachel felt marginally less terrified. The team lunch was at a Thai place downtown. She'd planned to skip it, but Kira had insisted. You need to bond with people. Trust me, it makes everything easier. So Rachel found herself squeezed into a booth between Kira and Jen, listening to Marcus tell a story about a disastrous client meeting that had somehow ended in a signed contract. And that's when I realized, Marcus concluded, sometimes people want to see you sweat. Makes them feel better about their own disasters. Everyone laughed. David, sitting across from Rachel, caught her eye and smiled. Not a boss smile, just a genuine, "You're one of us now" smile. On the bus home, Rachel let herself feel it. The first fragile threads of belonging. Week 2 brought more confidence. Rachel started anticipating David's needs, printing materials before meetings, flagging urgent emails, coordinating between team members without being asked. She was good at this work, better than good. You're catching on fast, David said Thursday afternoon, reviewing a client report she'd compiled. This is thorough, well organized, exactly what I needed. Thank you. I mean it, Rachel. You're exceeding expectations. That night, she told Miguel about her day. He listened with serious eyes, the way he always did when she talked about grown-up things. Your boss is nice, he said. Like how he is at the park. He's the same person everywhere. That's a good quality in people. Tommy says his dad talks about you sometimes, says you're really smart. Rachel's cheeks warmed. Tommy said that... Uh-huh. He says his dad is proud you're doing so good at work. She didn't know what to do with that information, stored it away to examine later. Week 3, David asked her to stay late. Just until 4:30, and he'd pay her overtime, but there was a client presentation to prepare, and he needed help. Rachel called Mrs. Patterson, who agreed to keep Miguel an extra hour. Then she settled in to help David organize slides, print handouts, coordinate the conference room setup. They worked in focused silence, passing documents back and forth. At one point, David looked up from his laptop. Thank you for staying. I know it's not convenient. It's fine. Part of the job. Still, I appreciate it. He paused. How are you settling in? Really? Really good. Better than I expected. No concerns. Nothing you need. Rachel set down the papers she'd been collating. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you hire me, really? David leaned back in his chair. You want the honest answer? Please. Because I saw someone capable who'd been knocked down by circumstances. Someone who needed a chance and would work hard to earn it. Someone who reminded me of myself 12 years ago. He met her eyes. And because I could. That's the simplest answer. I had a need, you had skills, and I was in a position to take a risk on someone without traditional credentials. That's it. No other reason. What other reason would there be? Rachel's hands twisted in her lap. I don't know. I keep waiting for the catch. There isn't one, Rachel. His voice was gentle. I know you've been burned before. I get that you're cautious. But I need you to understand something. I'm not him. Whoever he was, whatever he did, I'm not him. I'm trying to believe that. I know, and I'm trying to be patient while you figure it out. He smiled slightly. But for what it's worth, you're doing great work. I'm glad I hired you. No ulterior motives. Just glad. Rachel nodded, throat tight. Okay. Okay. They finished the prep work in comfortable silence. When Rachel left at 4:45, she felt something shift. Not complete trust, but maybe the beginning of it. Week 4. The first real test came. Miguel woke up Thursday morning with a fever. Rachel felt his forehead hot, too hot, and her stomach dropped. She called the school, called Mrs. Patterson, called the doctor's office, and got an appointment for 11. Then she stared at her phone. David's number pulled up and felt the familiar panic rise. She'd only been here a month. This was exactly the kind of thing that got single mothers fired. Unreliable. Too many personal issues. She called anyway. David, it's Rachel. I'm so sorry, but Miguel is sick. He has a fever and I need to take him to the doctor. I know I'm supposed to be in at 9, but... Rachel, stop. David's voice was firm, but not angry. Take care of your son. That's the priority. But the Morris meeting at 10. I'll handle it. You have sick days. Use them. I haven't been here long enough to earn... You have sick days, David repeated. It's in your contract. 5 days the first year starting immediately. I don't make people earn the right to take care of their kids. Rachel's eyes burned. Thank you. Keep me updated on how he's doing, okay? And Rachel, don't apologize for being a parent. Ever. The doctor diagnosed Miguel with strep throat. Antibiotics, rest fluids. He'd be fine in a day or two, but needed to stay home from school. Rachel texted David. Strep throat, antibiotics prescribed. He'll be okay. David replied immediately. Good. Take tomorrow off too if he needs you. Work can wait. Friday morning, Miguel's fever broke. He was restless, bored, demanding stories and attention. Rachel worked from her laptop when she could, answering emails one-handed while Miguel colored beside her. A knock on the motel room door made her jump. She checked the peephole. David stood there holding a bag. Rachel opened the door confused. What are you... How did you know where... Address from your HR paperwork. Sorry to show up unannounced. He held up the bag. Brought soup from the deli Miguel likes. Kira mentioned he talked about their chicken noodle at the park once. Miguel appeared behind Rachel wrapped in a blanket. Mr. Chen? Hey buddy, heard you weren't feeling great. I have strep throat. That's rough. I brought soup. The good kind with the big noodles. The exact kind. Rachel took the bag, overwhelmed. You didn't have to do this. I know. David smiled. But Tommy was worried about Miguel, and I was in the neighborhood anyway. He wasn't. Rachel knew he wasn't. The office was 20 minutes away, and there was nothing in this neighborhood worth visiting. Thank you, she managed. Feel better, Miguel. Rachel, see you Monday. He left before she could say anything else. Miguel tugged her shirt. Mama, can we have the soup now? They ate it together. Miguel's appetite finally returning. He chattered about Tommy, about school, about dinosaurs. Normal kid things. But Rachel's mind was on David's face when he'd handed over the soup. The casual kindness of it. The way he'd shown up without being asked, without expecting anything in return. Maybe Kira was right. Maybe David really was just good people. That weekend, Rachel counted her money. First full paycheck had hit her account Friday. After taxes and the advance deduction, it was exactly what David had said it would be. She paid the motel for another week. Bought real groceries, fresh vegetables, good bread, actual meat. Splurged on a new pair of shoes for Miguel, whose current ones were too small. She had $400 left over. $400 cushioned between them and disaster. It wasn't much, but it was more than she'd had in 6 months. Monday morning, she arrived at work at 8:45. David was in his office door open. Hey, he called when he saw her pass. How's Miguel? Much better. Back to school today. Good. He paused. Rachel, can you come in for a second? Her stomach dropped. Here it was. The catch. The moment when everything changed. She entered his office, sat when he gestured to the chair. David pulled out a folder. I've been reviewing your work from the first month. Your attention to detail is excellent. You've caught errors I missed. You're managing my calendar better than I do. The clients who've interacted with you have all given positive feedback. Thank you. So I want to adjust your role slightly. Add some project coordination to your responsibilities. It's more work, but it comes with a pay increase. $3,000 more annually. What do you think? Rachel blinked. You're giving me a raise. You're earning it. The work you'd be doing is worth more than what I'm currently paying you. I've only been here a month. And you've proven yourself in that month. He slid the folder across. New position description and adjusted contract. Look it over. Let me know by Wednesday. Rachel took the folder with shaking hands. David, I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. I'll think about it. She left his office, clutched the folder to her chest, and made it to her desk before the tears came. Not sad tears, overwhelmed tears, grateful tears. Kira appeared in her doorway. You okay? He's giving me a raise. I know. He asked my opinion last week. I told him you'd earned it. I've only been here a month. So you're good at the work. That's what matters. Kira smiled. Welcome to what it's like working for someone who actually values employees. It's weird at first, I know. Rachel laughed, wiping her eyes. Yeah, it's really weird. That afternoon, during a quiet moment, she opened the folder. Read through the new position description. The responsibilities were more, yes, but nothing she couldn't handle. And the pay increase, $45,000 annually, would mean actual savings. Maybe even enough to move out of the motel. She thought about Richard, how he'd used her desperation against her, how every kindness had come with strings. Then she thought about David, how he'd stayed across the park for weeks, never pushing, how he'd offered a job, not charity, how he'd shown up with soup and expected nothing in return, how he'd just offered her more money for doing good work. Maybe some people really were just kind. Maybe some help really did come without cost. Maybe she could let herself believe that. Wednesday morning, she knocked on David's door. He looked up from his computer. I'll take the new position, thank you. Great. I'll have Kira draw up the paperwork. He smiled. You've earned this, Rachel. I hope you know that. I'm starting to. And for the first time in 2 years, she meant it. The paperwork sat on Rachel's desk Friday afternoon when everything fell apart. She'd been filing client reports, mine half on work and half on the apartment viewing she had scheduled for tomorrow. A real apartment, 2 bedrooms, within her new budget. The thought made her giddy with hope. Her phone rang. School calling. Rachel's stomach dropped before she even answered. Schools never called with good news. Ms. Martinez. This is Principal Hoffman at Riverside Elementary. Is Miguel okay? He's fine physically, but there's been an incident. Can you come in right away? Rachel's hands went cold. What kind of incident? I'd prefer to discuss it in person. How soon can you be here? 20 minutes. She grabbed her purse, stopped by David's office. He was on a call, but looked up when she appeared. Emergency, he mouthed. She nodded. He held up one finger, spoke into his phone. Marcus, I need to call you back. 10 minutes. He hung up. What happened? School called. Something with Miguel. They wouldn't say what. Go. Keep me updated. Rachel caught the bus leg, bouncing the entire ride. What could Miguel have done? He was quiet, well-behaved, never caused trouble. Unless he'd gotten sick again. Or hurt. Or... She forced herself to breathe. Spiraling helped nothing. Principal Hoffman's office was standard diplomas on the wall, motivational posters, a desk covered in papers. The principal was 50-something, gray hair pulled back, expression serious, but not unkind. Miguel sat in a chair looking small and terrified. His face was tear-stained. Mijo. Rachel dropped to her knees in front of him. Are you hurt? He shook his head, wouldn't meet her eyes. Principal Hoffman gestured to another chair. Please sit. Rachel sat, kept one hand on Miguel's shoulder. There was an incident at lunch today, the principal began. Miguel was involved in a physical altercation with another student, a boy named Brandon Hayes. Rachel's mind went blank. Physical altercation. Miguel hit him, in the face, gave him a bloody nose. That's not Miguel wouldn't. Rachel looked at her son. Mijo, what happened? Miguel's face crumpled. He said bad things. What kind of bad things? Ms. Martinez, the principal interrupted. Regardless of what was said, physical violence is not acceptable. We have a zero-tolerance policy. I understand that, but Miguel is being suspended for 3 days, starting Monday. Suspended. The word felt unreal. But he's never been in trouble before. Never. He's a good kid. I'm sure he is, but our policy is clear. Rachel's throat was tight. Can I at least know what this boy said to him? The principal hesitated, glanced at Miguel. According to witnesses, Brandon made comments about Miguel's home situation, called him homeless. Miguel's shoulder tensed under Rachel's hand. And what's Brandon's punishment? Rachel asked. He's receiving a warning. His injury is considered punishment enough. A warning. Rachel heard her voice go cold. He verbally bullied my son about our circumstances, and he gets a warning. But Miguel, defending himself, gets 3 days suspension. Ms. Martinez, I understand you're upset. You're right. I am upset. Rachel stood. My son has never been in trouble. He's dealing with circumstances that would break most adults. And when some privileged kid mocks him for it, and he finally stands up for himself, you punish him. Our policy. Your policy is protecting the wrong child. Rachel took Miguel's hand. We're leaving. He'll serve his suspension. But understand that you're teaching him that defending himself is wrong and bullies get warnings. She walked out before the principal could respond, led Miguel through the hallways out to the bus stop. He was crying silently the way he'd learned to cry at the shelter when he didn't want to draw attention. Mama, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. He just kept saying things, and I got so mad. Shh, mijo, it's okay. I'm a bad kid now. Rachel stopped walking, knelt on the sidewalk despite the stares from passing people, took Miguel's face in her hands. You are not a bad kid. You hear me? You are a good kid who was pushed too far. But I hit him. I know, and that's not the right choice. But I understand why you did it. She brushed his tears away. What did he say? Exactly. Miguel's voice was tiny. He said, we live at the motel because you can't afford a real place. He said we're poor and homeless, and that's why my shoes are too small and my lunch is always peanut butter. He said his dad says people like us should go back to Mexico even though I told him I was born here. Rachel felt rage, pure white-hot rage flood through her, followed immediately by shame, because Brandon wasn't wrong. They did live at the motel. Miguel's shoes were too small. His lunch was usually peanut butter because she couldn't afford the school meal plan. Mijo, listen to me. There is nothing shameful about where we live or what we have. We're doing our best, and we're getting better every day. Okay? Okay. But hitting isn't the answer, even when people are cruel. You know why? Why? Because it gives them power over you. It lets them make you into something you're not. You're better than that. Miguel nodded, wiping his nose. I'm sorry, Mama. I know, baby. I know. They took the bus back to the motel. Rachel's phone buzzed multiple times, David checking in. She couldn't face explaining yet. Not until she'd processed it herself. Inside their room, Miguel curled up on the bed. Rachel sat beside him, stroked his hair until he fell asleep. Then she sat at the table and put her head in her hands. 3 days suspension. 3 days she'd need to miss work. 3 days that would mark Miguel as a problem child. 3 days that proved they were exactly what Brandon's father said they were: poor, struggling, not fitting in. Her phone buzzed again. David's name on the screen. She answered. Hey. Rachel. What happened? Are you okay? She told him. Everything. The incident, the suspension, what Brandon had said. Her voice stayed flat, controlled. If she let emotion in, she'd shatter. Jesus, David said when she finished. That kid's a little... I'm sorry. That's not helpful. It's accurate. How's Miguel? Asleep, exhausted. Rachel's voice cracked. David, I'm going to need to take Monday through Wednesday off. I know it's terrible timing with the Morris Project. Stop. The Morris Project is not more important than your son. But I just started, and I just got the promotion, and now I'm all ready. Rachel. His voice was firm. You're taking care of your kid. That's what good parents do. I'm not penalizing you for that. I'll make up the hours. No, you won't. You have PTO. Use it. Rachel closed her eyes. Thank you. Listen, I'm going to say something and I need you to hear it. Okay. Okay. You and Miguel have been through hell. You're rebuilding. That takes time. There are going to be setbacks. Days when it feels like everything is falling apart. But you're doing an incredible job. Miguel is a good kid because you're a good mother. One suspension doesn't change that. Rachel's throat was too tight to speak. Take the time you need, David continued. Be with Miguel. We'll handle things here. And when you come back Thursday, everything will be waiting for you. Your job, your desk, your future, all of it. Okay? Okay. After they hung up, Rachel let herself cry. Quiet, controlled tears that wouldn't wake Miguel. She'd tried so hard, worked so hard. And still, they were the poor family. The ones people like Brandon's father complained about. The ones who didn't belong. Saturday morning brought the apartment viewing. Rachel almost canceled. But Miguel needed to see that things were getting better, that they were moving forward. The apartment was small but clean. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom kitchen with actual counter space. The landlord was a middle-aged woman named Mrs. Chen, no relation to David, she'd said with a laugh. I'll need first, last, and security deposit, Mrs. Chen said. That's $3,000 total, and I'll need to run a credit check. Rachel's stomach sank. How long does the credit check take? Few days, but I'll be honest with you, dear. If your credit isn't good, I can't approve the application. I've been burned before. I understand. They left. Miguel was quiet on the bus ride back. We're not getting that apartment, are we, Mama? Rachel wanted to lie. Wanted to promise everything would work out. But she'd promised too many things she couldn't deliver. I don't know, mijo. My credit isn't good right now. Because of before, when Dad left. Yeah, because of before. That's not fair. You're working now. You're doing everything right. Life isn't always fair, baby. I know, but it should be. Rachel pulled him close. Yeah, it should be. Sunday afternoon, Rachel's phone rang. David's name on the screen. She answered warily. Hey, I hope I'm not bothering you on the weekend. It's fine. What's up? I was thinking about your situation with the apartment. Rachel's defenses shot up. How did you... Tommy mentioned Miguel talking about it. Look, I'm going to say something and I need you not to get angry. That's usually followed by something anger-inducing. David laughed. Fair. Here's the thing. I own a rental property, small house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. The previous tenants just moved out. It needs some work painting, minor repairs, but it's livable. Rachel's heart started pounding. David. Let me finish. I'm offering it at below market rate. $1,200 a month including utilities. No security deposit, no credit check. I can't. Yes, you can. Before you say it's charity, it's not. The place needs work that I don't have time for. You'd be doing me a favor by occupying it while I get around to renovations. And the rent I'm offering is what I'd charge anyway for a place that needs cosmetic updates. David, this is too much, I know. But Rachel, here's what I know about you. You'll pay every month on time. You'll take care of the place. You'll be a model tenant. And Miguel will have his own room and a backyard to play in. That's worth more to me than some stranger I'd have to screen. Rachel's eyes were burning. Why do you keep helping me? Because I can. Because Mr. Harrison helped me. Because that's how it's supposed to work. He paused. Come look at it tomorrow. Bring Miguel. If you hate it, we'll pretend I never called. But if you like it, it's yours. Okay. 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 We'll look at it. Monday morning, David picked them up from the motel. Miguel was quiet, still processing the suspension. Rachel was nervous about seeing where they might live. The house was in an older neighborhood, tree-lined streets, small yards. David pulled up to a white bungalow with blue shutters. "It's not much," he said, "but it's solid." Inside the house was dated but clean. Hardwood floors that needed refinishing. Walls that needed fresh paint. But the bones were good. The kitchen was small but functional. The bedrooms were decent-sized. And there was a backyard small fenced with an old swing set. Miguel's eyes lit up when he saw the swing. "Can I try it, Mama?" "Go ahead." He ran outside. Rachel stood in the kitchen, hands on the counter, trying to process. "I know it needs work," David said. "I wasn't exaggerating about that. It's perfect." "Really?" "David, I grew up in a house smaller than this with 4 siblings. This is—" Her voice broke. "Miguel would have his own room." "So you want it?" "I want it so much it scares me." "What's scary about it?" Rachel turned to face him. "You, this, all of it. You keep giving me things, and I keep waiting for the bill to come due." David leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "What if there is no bill?" "There's always a bill. Not with me." He held her gaze. "Rachel, I'm going to be very clear. I'm offering you a rental property at a fair price for its current condition. You'll sign a lease, pay rent monthly, treat it like any landlord-tenant relationship. That's it. I'm not expecting anything else. Not gratitude, not loyalty beyond the lease terms. Nothing. Why should I believe you? Because I've had 3 months to show you who I am. Because I've never crossed a boundary. Because I'm trying to earn your trust, not exploit it." Rachel's hands were shaking. "What if I mess this up? What if Miguel breaks something or I can't pay rent 1 month, or—" "Then we'll deal with it like adults, like landlord and tenant. Rachel, stop borrowing trouble from the future. Just answer one question. Do you want this house?" "Yes." "Then it's yours. We'll do the lease paperwork this week. You can move in whenever you're ready." Miguel ran back inside, breathless. "Mama, there's a swing. And the yard has space for a garden. Can we plant tomatoes?" "You always said you wanted to grow tomatoes." Rachel knelt down, pulled him close. "Yeah, mijo. We can plant tomatoes." The lease signing happened Wednesday afternoon at David's office. Rachel read every line 3 times looking for the trap, but it was straightforward. Standard lease terms, $1,200 monthly, 1 year minimum. After that, month to month. She signed with shaking hands. "Congratulations," David said, sliding her a set of keys. "You're officially a homeowner. Well, home renter. But still. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. Thank you is plenty." That weekend, Marcus and Kira helped them move. Not that there was much to move: 2 suitcases of clothes, Miguel's toy bin, Rachel's few kitchen items. Everything fit in David's sedan. "This is the saddest move I've ever seen," Kira said, surveying their belongings in the empty living room. "It's everything we have," Rachel said quietly. "Then we'll get you more." Kira pulled out her phone. "I'm texting the team. Everyone has extra furniture they don't need. You don't have to." "Too late. Already texting." By Sunday afternoon, the house had been transformed. Marcus brought a couch and coffee table. Jen donated a kitchen table with 4 chairs. Lisa arrived with boxes of dishes and pans. Tom and Sarah brought lamps, throw pillows, picture frames. David showed up with beds. Real beds. A full size for Rachel's room, a twin with a spaceship comforter for Miguel. "David, this is too much." "They're from IKEA. I was there anyway, getting stuff for Tommy's room. Picked these up too." He started unpacking pieces. "Marcus, you good with assembly?" Born for it, apparently. 3 hours later, the house looked like a home. Mismatched but cozy. Miguel ran from room to room, touching everything, like he couldn't believe it was real. "I have my own room, Mama, with a real bed." Rachel stood in the kitchen surrounded by her coworkers turned friends and couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. Kira squeezed her shoulder. "You okay?" "I don't know what I did to deserve this." "You showed up. You worked hard. You let people help you." Kira smiled. "Sometimes that's enough." That night, after everyone left, Rachel tucked Miguel into his new bed. His face was pure joy. "Mama, is this really ours?" "For as long as we pay rent, yes." "I love it here. I love my room. I love the swing." He paused. "I love Mr. Chen for helping us." Rachel's throat tightened. "He's been very kind." "Are you going to marry him?" "What, no mamijo, where did that come from?" "Tommy asked if we were going to be brothers. I said probably not because you guys aren't married, but maybe you could get married, then we'd be brothers for real." Rachel smoothed his hair. "Mr. Chen is my boss and my landlord, that's all." "But he's nice to you, and he helps us, and you smile more now." "I smile because we're safe, because I have a good job, not because of Mr. Chen specifically." Miguel looked unconvinced, but didn't push it. "Okay, but if you did want to marry him, I wouldn't be mad." "Noted. Now sleep." She kissed his forehead, turned out the light, stood in the doorway, watching him settle into sleep, surrounded by walls that were theirs. In her own room, Rachel sat on her new bed, pulled out her phone, typed a message to David. "I don't have words for what you've done for us, for what everyone did today. Thank you doesn't cover it, but thank you anyway." His reply came quickly. "You're welcome. Sleep well in your new home." Rachel lay down, stared at the ceiling, thought about Miguel's question, about David's consistent kindness, about how her life had transformed in 3 months. She wasn't falling for him. She wasn't. That would be stupid and reckless and exactly the kind of mistake she couldn't afford to make. But she was grateful, and maybe starting to trust that not all help came with hidden costs. Maybe some people were just good. Maybe David Chen was one of them. And maybe for the first time in years, everything was actually going to be okay. Thursday. Rachel returned to work. The team greeted her warmly, asked about the move, admired photos of Miguel's room that he'd insisted she show everyone. David called her into his office mid-morning. "How's Miguel handling the suspension?" "Better. We talked a lot about handling conflict differently. I think he understands." "Good." David pulled out a folder. "I wanted to discuss something with you. The Morris project is expanding. They want us to handle phase 2, which means more coordination work. I'd like you to be the primary point person." Rachel's eyes widened. "Me?" "You've proven you can handle complex logistics. And the Morrises like working with you. They said you're responsive and professional." "This is a big project." "It is, and it comes with more responsibility and another salary adjustment, $48,000 annually." Rachel sat down hard. "David, I've been here 3 months, and you've earned 2 promotions in that time." He slid the folder across. "I don't promote based on tenure. I promote based on performance. You're performing at a level that deserves this compensation." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it and let me know Monday." Rachel took the folder, hand shaking. 48,000. That was security. That was savings. That was everything. "David, why are you doing this?" "Because you're good at the work. Because you deserve it." He paused. "And because I want you to see what I see that you're capable of more than you think you are." Rachel met his eyes, saw only sincerity there. "Okay, I'll think about it." "Good." Walking back to her desk, Rachel felt the weight of the folder in her hands, felt the shift happening inside her. The walls she'd built were cracking, not all the way down, but enough to let light in, enough to believe that maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found the place she belonged. That weekend, Rachel did something she hadn't done in 2 years. She called her mother. The phone rang 4 times before Elena Martinez answered, her voice wary. "Rachel?" "Hi, Mama." Silence stretched between them. 2 years of hurt and pride and misunderstanding living in that silence. "How are you?" Elena finally asked. "Good. Really good, actually. I got a job. A real one. And we moved into a house." "A house?" Her mother's voice lifted with surprise. "You and Miguel?" "Yeah. It's small, but it's ours. Well, we're renting, but still." "Rachel, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you, mija." Rachel's throat tightened. "I'm sorry, Mama. For how I left things. For shutting you out. No. I'm sorry. I said things when you left Jorge. I said terrible things. About you needing to make it work, about Miguel needing a father. I was wrong. You were scared for me. I was, but I should have supported you instead of judging you." Elena's voice broke. 2 years, Rachel. 2 years I didn't see my grandson. I know. I'm sorry. I was ashamed. Of failing. Of ending up at the shelter. Of not being able to provide. You didn't fail. You survived. That takes more strength than staying. Rachel wiped her eyes. "Would you want to meet him, Miguel? He asks about you sometimes. I would love that. More than anything." They made plans for Sunday dinner. Rachel hung up feeling lighter than she had in years. Not all bridges stayed burned. Some could be rebuilt. Miguel was ecstatic when she told him. "I get to meet Abuela really." "Really? Does she know about dinosaurs?" "Probably not as much as you do." "Good. I can teach her." Sunday arrived with nervous energy. Rachel cleaned the house twice, made too much food, changed her clothes 3 times. Miguel put on his best shirt without being asked. Elena arrived at 5 with flowers and tears. She took one look at Miguel and dropped to her knees. "Mijo, look at you, so big." Miguel hugged her shyly. "Hi, Abuela, I'm 6 now. I was 4 last time." "I know, baby. I miss so much." Over dinner, Rachel told her mother everything. Not just the highlights, the whole truth. Living in the car, the shelter, Richard, the restaurant where David first saw them, the job, the house, all of it. Elena listened without interrupting. When Rachel finished, her mother reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm so proud of you. For surviving all that. For protecting Miguel. For building something better. I had help. A lot of help. From this David, yeah, he's been..." Rachel searched for words. "He's been everything Mr. Harrison was for him, giving me a chance when no one else would." Elena studied her daughter's face. "You care about him." "He's my boss." "That's not what I asked." Rachel looked away. "It doesn't matter if I do. He's been nothing but professional, and even if he wasn't, I can't afford to risk what we have. Miguel and I are finally stable. I won't jeopardize that. Sometimes stability comes from taking risks on the right people. And sometimes it comes from knowing when to protect yourself." Elena didn't push it, but her knowing look said everything. Monday morning, Rachel accepted the promotion. David smiled when she told him, genuine pleasure in his expression. "Great. Welcome to project management. Fair warning, Morris is demanding, but I think you can handle him." "I'll do my best." "I know you will." The Morris project consumed the next month. Rachel coordinated between 3 departments, managed conflicting schedules, handled the client's constant changes with patience. It was exhausting and exhilarating. She was good at this work. Really good. David checked in regularly but didn't micromanage. Offered guidance when she asked, trusted her judgment when she didn't. The balance was perfect. Late November, the team threw a small celebration when the Morris project wrapped successfully. Champagne in the conference room, Marcus giving a toast about Rachel's organizational wizardry. "6 months ago, we didn't know what we were missing," he said. "Now we can't imagine running projects without you." Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. Kira squeezed her hand under the table. After everyone left, Rachel stayed to clean up. David helped stacking paper plates in the trash. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just grateful." "You earned every bit of today's praise." "I know. I'm starting to really believe that." She met his eyes. Thank you, David. For all of it. For seeing something in me when I couldn't see it myself. I just opened the door. You walked through it. They stood there in the conference room, sunset light coming through the windows. Something shifted in the air between them. Not uncomfortable. Just present. Acknowledged. David cleared his throat. I should get going. Tommy has a game tonight. Yeah. Tell him Miguel says good luck. Will do. He left. Rachel finished cleaning, grabbed her coat, headed home. On the bus, she replayed the moment. The way David had looked at her. The way her heart had kicked up. The way she'd wanted to close the distance between them. Dangerous thoughts. She pushed them away. December brought Christmas preparations. Miguel was obsessed with decorations, begging Rachel to buy lights for their house. She'd splurged a little. Her savings account actually had money in it now. Nothing major, but enough for a small emergency fund. The team did Secret Santa. Rachel drew Kira's name, bought her a nice scarf and fancy coffee beans. On the day of the exchange, she opened her gift to find a beautiful journal with Rachel's recipes embossed on the cover. For all those recipes you're going to create once you have a real kitchen, the card said. It was signed by David. She held it carefully, touched by the thoughtfulness. He'd noticed her talking about wanting to cook more. Had paid attention. That evening she wrote her first entry. Not a recipe, just a note. 6 months ago I was counting change for soup. Today I have a home, a job, and people who care about me. Today I have hope. That's worth more than any recipe. Christmas Eve. Elena came over. They cooked together tamales the traditional way Elena had taught Rachel as a child. Miguel helped getting masa everywhere, laughing with his grandmother. You've built something beautiful here, mija, Elena said while Miguel was outside on his swing. I'm trying. You're succeeding. Her mother paused. Have you thought about dating again? Rachel nearly dropped the tamale she was wrapping. What? You're young, Rachel. Miguel needs a father figure. He's doing fine without one. I'm not saying he isn't. But you deserve companionship, love, someone to share this new life with. Mama, I barely trust what I have now. I'm not adding romance to that. Not even with David. Especially not with David. He's my boss, my landlord, my everything, honestly. I can't risk that. What if he wants to risk it? He doesn't, and even if he did, I wouldn't. End of discussion. But Elena's words stayed with her through Christmas, through New Year's, into January. Was she hiding behind fear or being smart? She didn't know. January brought bitter cold and a new project. Rachel was managing too, now her competence having earned David's full trust. She thrived under the responsibility, arrived early, stayed focused, delivered excellent work. The 3-month review came and went. David made her position permanent with benefits. Health insurance kicked in. Rachel cried in the bathroom when she got Miguel's insurance card in the mail. Real health care. Doctor visits without terror. Tommy's 9th birthday party was in February. David invited Miguel personally. It's at the bowling alley, 2 o'clock Saturday. Tommy's been asking if Miguel can come. We'll be there. The party was chaos. 10 9-year-old boys hopped up on pizza and cake. Rachel helped supervise while David managed the bowling lanes. Their eyes met across the arcade, multiple times shared smiles about the beautiful madness of children. During cake, Tommy pulled Miguel aside. Rachel watched them, whisper, Tommy's face serious. Then they came over together. Dad, can Miguel stay over tonight? Tommy asked. David raised an eyebrow. That's up to Miguel's mom. Miguel looked at Rachel with pleading eyes. Can I, Mama? Please? You've never done a sleepover before. I know, but Tommy's my best friend, and you always say I should try new things. Rachel's instinct was to say no, to keep him close, keep him safe. But Elena's words echoed sometimes. Stability comes from taking risks on the right people. Okay, but you call me if you need anything. Deal? Deal. The boys ran off celebrating. David moved closer. You sure I'll take good care of him? I know you will. What will you do with a kid-free evening? Rachel laughed. Probably clean the house. Exciting stuff. Or, David said carefully, you could have dinner with an adult. Crazy idea, I know. Rachel's heart stopped. David, as friends, he added quickly. Just you're always with Miguel or at work. When's the last time you had an actual break? I don't know. So have dinner with me. Nothing formal, just two people grabbing food. Every instinct screamed to say no, to maintain boundaries, to protect what they'd built. But a quieter voice whispered, what if Elena was right? What if some risks were worth taking? Okay, Rachel heard herself say. Dinner. As friends. Great, I know a good Italian place. 7 o'clock. 7 works. She regretted it immediately, then unregretted it, then regretted it again during the drive home. At 6:30, she stood in front of her closet, having a mild crisis. What did you wear to definitely not a date dinner with your boss landlord friend, who you maybe had feelings for, but absolutely couldn't act on? She settled on dark jeans and a nice sweater. Casual, appropriate. David picked her up at 7. He'd changed to button-down shirt, actual slacks instead of khakis. He looked good. Really good. You look nice, he said. Thanks. So do you. The restaurant was cozy, family-owned, red-checkered tablecloths and candles on every table. Definitely date-like atmosphere. Rachel tried not to panic. They ordered, made small talk about work, about the kids. Safe topics. Then David set down his menu. Can I ask you something personal? Rachel tensed. Okay. What's your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself? That's a job interview question. Humor me. Rachel considered. Honestly, I don't plan that far ahead anymore. I used to, before everything fell apart. Now I just focus on getting through each day, each week, each month. Building something stable. That makes sense. But if you let yourself dream a little, what would you want? For Miguel to be happy and healthy. To have enough savings that an emergency doesn't destroy us. To maybe go back to school someday, finish my degree. She paused. To not be afraid all the time. Afraid of what? That it'll all disappear. That I'll wake up and we'll be back at the motel or the shelter. That this is all temporary. David was quiet for a moment. You know what Mr. Harrison told me once? He said fear is just a reminder that you have something worth protecting. The trick is not letting it paralyze you. Easier said than done. I know. Trust me, I know. He leaned forward. Rachel, I'm going to be honest with you about something. And I need you to just listen, okay? Her heart started racing. Okay. When I first saw you at that restaurant, I saw someone I recognized. Someone desperate and proud and doing everything they could to keep their kids safe. I saw myself 12 years ago. That's why I offered to help, because I'd been there, and I knew what a difference one person's kindness could make. Rachel nodded, throat tight. But somewhere along the way, David continued, it stopped being just about paying it forward. You became... He stopped. Started again. You're an incredible employee, but you're also an incredible person. You're strong and resilient and kind, despite everything you've been through. And I've found myself caring about you, as more than an employee, more than a tenant, more than a friend. David, let me finish, please. He took a breath. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not expecting anything to change. I just needed you to know. Because I don't want there to be any confusion about my motives. Everything I've done, the job, the house, all of it I do, regardless of how I feel. You've earned every opportunity I've given you, but I also need you to know that I care about you. And if that makes you uncomfortable, we can pretend this conversation never happened. Rachel's hands were shaking. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I care about you too." The words came out before she could stop them. "But David, I can't. We can't." "I know. You're my boss, my landlord. Everything in my life depends on you. If we tried something and it went wrong—" "I know," David repeated. "That's why I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know the truth." Their food arrived. They ate in heavy silence. Rachel's mind was spinning. He cared about her, not as charity, as a person, as a woman. And she cared about him. Had been fighting it for months. But caring didn't change reality. Didn't change the power imbalance. Didn't change the risk. After dinner, David drove her home, walked her to the door. "I'm sorry if I made things awkward," he said. "You didn't. I mean, you did, but not in a bad way." Rachel turned to face him. "I need time to think about this, about what it means, about what I want versus what's smart. Take all the time you need. What if thinking doesn't help? What if I still don't know what to do?" David smiled sadly. "Then we stay friends. We keep working together. And we don't talk about this again." Can it really be that simple? "I don't know, but we can try." Rachel nodded. "Okay, friends?" "Friends." He left. Rachel went inside, sat on her couch, and stared at the wall. She'd spent 6 months rebuilding her life. 6 months learning to trust again. 6 months accepting help and believing it came without strings. And now David was offering something else. Not demands, not expectations, just honesty. About feelings she'd been denying herself. What if she let herself want this? Want him? What if it all fell apart? What if it didn't? The questions chased themselves through her mind all night. The next morning, David dropped Miguel off at 9. The boy was exhausted, happy, full of stories about the sleepover. "Can we do it again next weekend, Mama?" "We'll see Mijo. Let Mr. Chen get some rest first." David and Rachel's eyes met over Miguel's head. He smiled. She smiled back. Normal, friendly. But underneath, everything had shifted. That week at work was careful, professional. David didn't bring up their conversation. Rachel didn't either. They worked together seamlessly as always. But Rachel found herself noticing things. The way David's face lit up when he talked about Tommy. How patient he was with difficult clients. How he always asked the team about their lives, remembered details, cared genuinely. How he'd spent 6 months proving himself trustworthy before ever admitting his feelings. Friday afternoon, Marcus stopped by Rachel's desk. "You and David okay? There's weird energy." "We're fine." "Why?" "I don't know. You both seem tense. Just checking." After Marcus left, Kira appeared. "Okay, spill. What happened?" "Nothing." "Rachel, I've known you 6 months. I know you're nothing face. This is something." Rachel sighed. "David told me he has feelings for me." Kira's eyes went wide. "Oh. Yeah. And you said—" "That I can't. That it's too risky." "Is that what you really think? Or is that fear talking?" "Does it matter? The risks are real regardless." Kira sat on the edge of Rachel's desk. "Can I tell you something? When I started here, I was a mess. Single mom, broke, no confidence. David hired me anyway, invested in me. And for the first year I was terrified he'd want something back. Because that's how the world had taught me things worked. What changed? Time, consistency, proof that some people really are just good." She paused. "I've watched David with you these past 6 months. He's careful, respectful. He never crossed a line until he was sure you were stable enough that his feelings wouldn't create pressure. But they do create pressure. Because what if I say yes and it doesn't work, I lose everything. Or what if you say yes and it does work, you gain everything." Kira squeezed her hand. "I'm not saying you should date your boss. That's complicated as hell. But I am saying, don't let fear make all your decisions. You've survived worse than a relationship ending. After Kira left, Rachel sat thinking. She'd been so focused on protecting herself that she hadn't considered what she might be losing by staying safe. That evening, after Miguel was asleep, Rachel called Elena. "Mama, can I ask you something?" "Of course, mija." "How did you know Papa was worth the risk?" Elena was quiet for a moment. "I didn't. Not completely. But I knew staying safe meant staying alone, and I didn't want alone more than I feared being hurt. What if I'm not that brave? Rachel, you lived in a car with a baby. You escaped an abuser. You rebuilt your entire life from nothing. You're the bravest person I know. That's different. I did that for Miguel. So do this for yourself. You deserve love too, mija. Not just safety, love." Rachel hung up, her mother's words echoing. Saturday afternoon, she went to David's house. He answered the door in jeans and a t-shirt, surprise on his face. "Rachel, is everything okay? Where's Miguel?" "With my mom. Can we talk?" "Of course. Come in." His house was comfortable, lived in. Photos of Tommy everywhere. A kitchen that showed signs of actual cooking. "You want coffee or—" "I've been thinking about what you said," Rachel interrupted. "About caring about me, about feelings." David's expression became carefully neutral. "Okay. I'm terrified. Of risking what we have. Of everything falling apart. Of proving that I can't trust my own judgment about people." "Rachel, you don't have to—" "But I'm also tired," she continued. "Tired of living in fear. Tired of protecting myself so hard that I don't let anything good in. Tired of pretending I don't feel what I feel." "What do you feel?" "I care about you. More than friends. More than I'm comfortable with." She took a breath. "But I have conditions. If we do this, we have to be careful. No one at work knows until we're sure. If it doesn't work out, I need you to promise that my job and Miguel's house are safe." "They are, regardless." "I need to hear you promise." "I promise. Your job is yours because you earned it. The house is yours because you pay rent. Neither has anything to do with whether we're together." "Okay." Rachel stepped closer. "Then I want to try. Slowly, carefully, but I want to try." David's face transformed. Yeah. He pulled her into a hug. Rachel let herself sink into it, into the safety of his arms, into the terrifying possibility of something good. "We'll take it slow," David murmured. "As slow as you need." "Thank you." They stood there holding each other, and Rachel felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not just hope, not just safety. Peace. 3 months later, Rachel stood in her kitchen making Sunday dinner. David was in the backyard with Tommy and Miguel pushing them on the swings. Through the window she watched them laugh, watched her son's face shine with happiness. Elena was setting the table, humming softly. "You look happy, mija." "I am, Mama. Really happy." "Good. You deserve it." The Morris Company had hired them for another project. Rachel was lead coordinator, now managing a team. David had promoted her again, $55,000 annually. She had health insurance saving stability. But more than that, she had community. Had people who cared about her. Had David, who proved every day that love could exist without ownership. They'd been dating 4 months. Nobody at work knew yet, though Kira had definitely figured it out. They were careful, professional, kept boundaries clear. But in private moments like this, Sunday dinners with their kids, quiet evenings after the boys were asleep, Rachel let herself be fully present, fully trusting, fully loved. David came inside, boys trailing behind. "Whatever you're making smells amazing." "Tamales. My mother's recipe." "I'm honored." Over dinner, Miguel announced, "Mama, I got picked for the advanced reading group." "Mijo, that's wonderful. My teacher says I'm reading at 3rd grade level." "That's my smart boy." Tommy high-fived him. "Nice. I'm only at 2nd grade level." "That's still good." Miguel said seriously. We're both doing great. Rachel caught David's eye across the table. He smiled that soft smile reserved just for her. She smiled back. This was everything she'd been too afraid to dream of. Stability, love, family not the traditional kind, but the chosen kind, the earned kind. After dinner, after her mother left, after the boys were asleep in Tommy's room, Rachel and David sat on her back porch. Thank you, Rachel said quietly. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible, for helping without controlling, for being patient while I learned to trust again. David took her hand. Thank you for letting me in, for taking the risk, for proving that Mr. Harrison's legacy lives on. Tell me about him. Really tell me. So David did. Talked about the man who'd given a desperate single father a chance, who'd taught him that kindness didn't require ownership, who'd shown him that the measure of success wasn't what you accumulated, but what you gave away. I think about him every day, David finished. Wonder what he'd think about all this. I think he'd be proud. You did exactly what he taught you. We did. You're doing it too now. Kira told me you're mentoring that new hire Jessica, the one with the rough background. Someone has to. She reminds me of me 6 months ago. Exactly. That's how it works. That's how kindness multiplies. David squeezed her hand. You've come so far, Rachel. From that restaurant to here. I'm so proud of you. Rachel leaned her head on his shoulder. I couldn't have done it without you. You would have. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe the path would have been different. But you would have made it. You're stronger than you know. They sat in comfortable silence watching stars emerge. Inside, the boys laughed at something. The sound of children safe and happy and loved. Rachel thought about that afternoon at Riverside Bistro. About Miguel's hungry eyes fixed on a stranger's plate. About her own desperation and pride warring in her chest. She thought about David noticing. About him respecting her no. About him showing up week after week at the park, never pushing just present. About the job offer that changed everything. About learning to trust again, slowly, painfully, beautifully. About falling in love with a man who understood that real help came without conditions. I love you, she said quietly. First time saying it out loud. David's breath caught. Yeah, I love you. And it terrifies me. But I love you. He turned, cupped her face in his hands. I love you too. And we're going to be okay. All 4 of us. We're going to be more than okay. Promise. I promise. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of possibility. And Rachel let herself believe him. Let herself trust in tomorrow. Let herself accept that sometimes, not always, but sometimes help really did come without strings. Sometimes people were just good. Sometimes broken things healed. Sometimes a single moment of kindness, a man noticing a hungry boy, a woman finding the courage to try again could change everything. The circle was complete, and the ripple would continue spreading. Through Rachel helping Jessica. Through Miguel learning kindness from David's example. Through Tommy growing up watching his father live his values. Through all of them proving that Mr. Harrison's legacy, that beautiful simple truth that we're supposed to help each other, was alive and growing and changing lives every single day. That was the real happy ending. Not a fairy tale, not perfection, just people choosing kindness, choosing courage, choosing to believe in second chances and fresh starts, and the possibility that tomorrow could be better than today. Rachel had been that desperate woman trying to leave, quietly hoping no one would notice her shame. David had been the single dad who saw her, who remembered his own hunger, who chose to help, and together they'd built something beautiful from those broken pieces, something worth more than any fairy tale, something real.